Hi there and welcome back. So you're going to see me use, well, I was going to try and use both of these molds in today's video, but I only ended up using one. Lots and lots of lovely terrazzo chips from Eco Pores of previous videos. And so the idea is that I try and use those in this. So I've measured out my powder and water, and I'm doing it the other way around today. I'm adding the powder to the water rather than the water to the powder. There we are. So I've measured it all out and now I'm just going to mix it up. This is Aquacast. It's an eco resin. It's water activated, which is great. I will just warn you, certain parts of this video have been sped up because, you don't need to sit and watch me mix something together for 5 minutes. We've got lots of previous videos that you can check out from our playlist where we've used eco resin and with varying levels of success. So I've mixed it all up and now I'm just gradually adding in all of those lovely terrazzo chips. So this is overspill or leftover eco resin from previous projects, and just broken it all up. It's easy to do, kept it in a bag until I had enough. I thought, do you know what, I'm going to try and use these up. Let's see what I can make. And I was just going to try and make a like placemat. So you could put anything on it once it's cured, a plant pot, a vase, a bowl, totally up to you what you want to use it for. Now, if you had enough to make, say, 4 or 6, you could actually make a set of table mats for your kitchen table or dining room table. If you're going to do that, make sure you do put a backing of cork or felt underneath. So here I am, I've got both of them in. I was really hoping here that I'd have enough of this mixture for both molds, but soon realised I only had enough for one. So I'm pouring some in and then just giving it, sort of jiggling the mould, agitating the mould, moving it, vibrating it. Just again to get the mix to spread out nicely across it and try and make it as smooth a finish as possible. So it looks very lumpy, but those lumps and bumps are all the little terrazzo pieces in it. Now I have seen somebody do this before with shells, safety glass in different colours, all sorts of different things you could put in because you're going to sand back the surface to reveal its beauty. So I've got this on a bit of, this is just baking sheet here, baking paper, and I'm just tapping the sides and agitating the mould to make sure it thoroughly levels out, and then just going around the very edge of the mould with a stir stick there. There we are, a bit more of agitation of this mould, tappy wappy as they call it. Now, once it's completely cured, and this takes about an hour to hour and a half, I've gone in with some sanding paper. Now, do as I say, don't do as I do in this one. I didn't leave it a full 24 hours for it to air dry, and really you should leave it a full 24 hours to air dry. Then, demold it, then take it, demold it so it cures. Let's start from the beginning, Laura. Good Lord, need coffee. You pour your eco resin into your mould. You let it cure completely for about hour to hour and a half as per manufacturer's instructions. And then you demold it. You let it dry out and air dry overnight, at least 12 to 24 hours. Then you sand it. You don't do as I have done in this video, and that is, as soon as it's cured, start sanding. Because, as I found out, you compromise the integrity of the cured piece. And you'll see what I mean by that shortly. So I picked it up to demold it, and look what happens straight away. It cracks. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, all that hard work. What am I going to do? Do I just bash all this up again, make more terrazzo chips, try again? Or am I going to try and rescue this? So I know there's a process, I don't know if it's Chinese or Japanese, where they have things that break, they put them back together, they put lovely fine gold paintwork in it. And I thought, well, maybe I could do something with this, but we had bits missing. So what I decided to do, I put it back in the mould the right way up that I wanted, and I just thought, I'm going to sand the side that I want sanded, because yes, I'd sanded the wrong side as well. Yeah. Wasn't going my really things weren't going my way, but can you see how it's revealing its true beauty there? I've got all those lovely little different coloured pieces of terrazzo chips just generally gently revealing themselves. Look at that. It's fantastic. I love this effect. I don't do it very often in projects, but I do love this effect. And in fact, this has spurred me on to maybe deliberately make some terrazzo chips rather than just having them from leftover resin and leftover eco resin projects and pours, and actually deliberately make some in different colours, break it all up, and then make some customized, unique, one-of-a-kind plant pots for my garden. So who knows, maybe that will be a future project that you'll see, perhaps. Right, so completely smoothed down the main part and then did the second part. Can you see, now this is the following day, can you see how much that's changed colour? And it's a bit, it looks very grey, doesn't it, in this picture? I think it's just the light. So there's rather a large gap, and I thought, you know, rather than use glue, I'm going to try and use some epoxy resin. So I made some up. I've added in a little bit of the mica powder. Here we go. Excuse the state of my work area here. I keep promising myself I'm going to clear it up. I'm going to clear it up and have more space to be able to work and so on. Yes, pigs might fly, as they say. I don't know if you've heard that saying, but I do prefer to work in a non-messy environment if possible, but yeah, it's going to take a couple of days to sort that out. Job for a day when it's raining. Right, so added in the mica powder, mixing it in thoroughly into the epoxy resin. This is Tea Expert resin. It's just our brand of choice at the moment. We're not sponsored by anybody in these videos, unless we say we are. And everything we used, wherever possible, will be linked in the description box. So that's all the materials that we use and the moulds. Linked in the description box with any discount code should we have any, which I don't think we do at the moment. I think we've got one for BB Craft, which expires in June. So if you want to use that, get on quick and use that. So just adding in some more of that lovely white holographic glitter. We also added in some white pigment paste, just regular epoxy paste, and then gave it a good stir. Once it was what I wanted, or I thought it was what I wanted, I decided then to pour it in, which is what we're showing you now. Now, I have pushed the terrazzo chip pieces or parts of this down as far as I can to try and create a seal between the silicone mould and the piece itself. But yeah, not great results, I have to say, because the epoxy resin goes where epoxy resin wants to go, and it finds a gap and a space and it will travel there. So we do have some where it's gone underneath in the mould itself, which, you know, it's okay. It is what it is. But I also noticed that, look, I'm pressing down on those solid pieces of eco resin, and it's just, it's not quite doing what I hoped it would do. But not to worry. What I did is I filled it up a little bit more. I babysat this for about 10 minutes, kept topping it up, and then I applied some weights to it, to the surface, the larger surface area, to stop it from sort of almost rising up away from the base of the mould. And then I left it to cure. So in case I haven't said, today's video is a little bit longer than usual. It's about 28 minutes long, so I do hope you've got yourself, you're nice and comfortable, and that you've got yourself your favourite drink of your choice. I happen to have a flat white coffee with me at the moment. And yeah, so here we go. What we've done is we've still got some epoxy resin left over, and I don't like wasting anything. So what I'm now doing, I've got this lovely mould, and we've used it to make eco resin flowers, which were a great success. I don't think there's a video on that one though. And so I thought I'm going to use them with some leftover epoxy resin that I've got from pouring in that gap in the main panel piece or placemat. So I'm just dusting over with some mica powder. I think this one is by Arteza. Beautiful deep purplish blue colour. And I'm just using a regular dry bristle paintbrush, dipping it in the pot, just tapping it lightly on the inside of the pots. There's not too much. And then just dusting inside the moulds. Not leaving that top, I'm leaving the top one blank in that mould because it's a petal and it doesn't really make sense to have that in the piece, the project that I'm doing. So you could use these once they've cured and you've demolded them. You can use them for anything. You could have a very large pair of earrings, although actually that would look rather stunning. Pendants for necklaces, feature pendants or bracelets, bangles. As I said, earrings, earrings that are drop earrings or earrings that are big stud earrings. They'd look beautiful on hair combs and grips. Or why not just, if you can and are able to, if you're able to put 2 tiny little holes side by side, little gap in between, in the centres, and then you could use them as buttons. So you could sew them on hats, scarves, shawls, ponchos. I mean, to be honest, the list goes on and on and on. So I've finished dusting with the mica powders, and now I'm just topping it up with the leftover resin. On the left hand side there of the screen you can see what looks like a tub. That is a sample pot of paint. It's the thing I had to hand. It's creating weight down onto that other piece that I was saying to stop it from rising up away from the silicone base, the base of the mould, so that all the resin doesn't escape. I mean, I had mixed results with that. I ended up doing another pour of epoxy resin, which you will see me do, just to finish it off. But yeah, and there we go. So almost done. Just going to fill up this last one, which reminds me a bit of a dahlia flower, or perhaps a chrysanthemum. If you did it all in white, it would look quite like a chrysanthemum. You could also try making these using maybe some air-dried clay or some Fimo clay, polymer clays. Sorry, Fimo is a brand, isn't it? Some polymer clay in these moulds, and then take them out. If it's air-dried clay, take them out, bend them slightly, and perhaps once they've then dried, attach them to glass jars, kilner jars, things like that. Put some lovely like fine battery operated lights into them as well. That would be quite good. That would look really nice. So we still had some left over. Well, we didn't have some left over actually. I made up some more. Little fib there. And I just thought, do you know what? I need something else to go on this tray or placemat. So you could have it as a dressing table set. You could have it in a bathroom, bedroom, wherever really, to be honest. I mean, you could have it on your desk if you've got a home office. You could pop pencils in it, anything. And I'm going to do a bit of an ombre effect with these 3 shades of mica powders. Now this one, this beautiful pink, is made by a company called Mould. Yes, I'm saying that correctly, Mould. They also make fantastic epoxy resin. So if you ever get a chance, hit them, go over to their website, have a look. They quite often do a giveaway. If you buy resin from them, you can then quite often get their mould of the month, I think they call it, for £1. For £1. So if you're in the USA, I don't know if they ship to the USA, but if in the USA, £1 now is probably about $1.50, something like that, instead of full price. And their moulds, we've done this a couple of times with them, and their moulds are fantastic. Right, so I've applied the darker pink one, or rose pink, dark rose pink. Now we're going to go in with that beautiful bluey purplish colour from our Tezza. And as I said, everything that we've used, wherever possible, materials wise in today's video, will be linked in the description box below. Here we go. Absolutely love doing this. I love these. They're simple enough to do, these pots, and the effect, the finished result and the effect, absolutely stunning. And you could do them in all kinds of colour mixes and colourways. You could have blues with chocolate browns and silver. Love the idea of that. Purple with gold and maybe a pink or a green. You could have greens with yellows and silver and gold, or bronze. You could do all the metallic colours. You could just have whites with bits of gold running through, or rose gold and copper. If you didn't want to do all mica powders, you could also do some faux gold leaf or silver leaf. We actually have a selection of different colours of faux leaves, you know, like gilding flake leaves in sheets, not big sheets, but sheets of them. All kinds of different colours, greens, blues, reds, pinks. We haven't got yellow or orange, I don't think. Gold, silvers, you know, bronze, greens. They look absolutely stunning. You could put bits of those on it and then go in with your mica powders. It's just a little something like that, maybe just on a white tray or placemat with a lovely pot plant. I mean, okay, not everybody's got green fingers and are able to grow plants and keep them alive. If that's the case, you can get some really good faux plants around now for not much money. Check out places, if you're in the UK, check out places like The Range, B&M, Home Bargains, Home Sense, places like that. And you'll find a great selection from there. As I said, though, not sponsored by any of these people, but I love a bit of shopping. I love a bit of looking around there to get inspiration and ideas for these sorts of things. But yeah, so there we go. So just gradually filling up the mould here. So putting some in, letting it find its level, putting some in, letting it find its level. Look at that. So these are now cured 24 hours later. And we've still got an indent where the resin has cured. So unfortunately that's not quite worked, but never mind, everything else has. So we're going to demold. Again, as I said, bits of this have been sped up. That's the underside, so you can see where it's escaped all that resin, unfortunately. I'm going to go around the edge like I'm showing you now. This is with a deburring tool. If you don't feel happy using one of those, then you can just use a bit of sandpaper or an emery board just to go around it. Now don't forget, at this point it's not been sealed at all, this. Now if you were happy with the effect that you'd got and you don't want to fill it up, I mean I can see an indent, so I do want to fill it, and it's all completely level and smooth, you would then need to seal this, and you can do that with any of the manufacturer's sealants. So that's Elechem make one called Hydroflow sealant, spray sealant, or J. Diction do one called gloss sealer, or you could use a wax, which I'm yet to use. I need to try and get a waxed and try using that to seal these pieces. But I'm not going to bother because I'm actually going to pour a thin coat of regular epoxy resin over it. So we've demolded the flowers, and yes, I've got a bit of overspill, so I'm just trimming them up because they're still quite soft. So, and it's very thin, the overspill on these. So I'm just using my little sharp scissors there. I love these scissors. Bought these from a craft market. Haven't been able to find them since. Certainly not for as reasonably priced as I purchased them for, but here we go. So at this point I was thinking these, because the mould is a matte mould, there's no shine to the finish on these flowers, and they were getting a bit lost, if you know what I mean, just a little bit lost. So they do need zhuzhing, I'm going to say that word, or blinging up a bit without being too too vibrant. So the best way to make something from being a matte piece to being a shiny piece is to coat them with some UV resin. So that is what I'm going to do. I do show you that. Now that bit is sped up as well, because you don't need to sit and watch me doing that for a quarter of an hour or 10 minutes. But basically what you do is you do a few of the petals and then you cure it using a UV lamp, and then you repeat the process until you've got all of it cured. But they look rather pretty. So we're going to demold the pot. Here we go. We've got a few little micro bubbles on the surface there of the base, which I do decide to get rid of, but look at that effect. You see what I mean about a little bit of an ombre effect perhaps with the micas, the mica powders and so on that we used. So just trimming up the base there with the deburring tool. Obviously if you're not happy using a deburring tool, then just go over a bit of light sandpaper. But I still wasn't happy. Oh look, and we did a little dragon as well. So just showed you that one very quickly. So taking a emery board, and because I feel like with these little pieces, the smaller pieces that we make, emery board, I just feel like I've got more control. So yeah, this bit's been sped up. I don't normally sand this fast or this quickly. So it was just taking off some of the surface, but it really wasn't doing the trick for me. We still had all of those, should we just say, little scars, battle scars from the micro bubbles. Just brushed it off and decided to use some UV resin mixed with some of the mica powder, and then all I did literally was put it on the surface using a silicone tipped brush that I have, and then remember to keep curing it, and we ended up with this result. So that's how I got to that stage. I have done a previous video where we've used mold resin, if you check out our playlist, and I show you exactly, I think I showed you in that one exactly how I did it, but it's literally you just do the layers of resin, cure it, bit more, cure it, and so on. So here we go. This is applying some UV resin. I didn't have a lot left in this bottle, I don't think. Trying to do this one-handed is quite difficult. So just applying it to the petals there of this lovely flower, and then just spreading it using that silicone tipped tool all over the surface till you're happy, and then making sure there aren't any little pools of resin collecting anywhere, and that you haven't got any little bubbles, and then curing it, and then just repeating the process until you're completely happy. We used a UV lamp rather than a torch because, you know, I mean, obviously we could put the whole thing under there. You're not sat holding a torch for 5 minutes. You just literally press the button on and it does the job. But can you see it's creating a gloss-like effect to that lovely flower? There you go. Just looking at how those mica powders picked up on all those petals. Absolutely stunning the way that's blended. Really, really lovely. And as I said, this could be used for anything really. You could put it on a jar, a vase. You could put it on the top of a wooden box. It would be beautiful. On top of a pot that maybe you've made from either eco resin or epoxy resin. Decorate the side of it. Totally up to you. So we're just popping it under the UV lamp, and then that is what you have. Got a little bit to give. So you see compare the two? So you've got one that's matte and one that's shiny. And I did that with the other two flowers as well. Now, going back to this, we're going to call it the placemat. I've mixed up some regular epoxy resins. This is Tea Expert. It's just brand of choice currently. Added in a tiny bit of the mica powder. I mean, literally like the tiniest of pinches of mica powder. And then added in some of the beautiful white iridescent or holographic iridescent glitter. Pouring it onto the surface now of this a tablet or placemat, and then just using the stir stick there just to smooth it across to the edges, trying not to go over the edge of the mould because I didn't want to pull the rest of the resin down over it. But this brings back that shine. It brings back the shine, and not that you can see it in these camera shots. I mean, the lighting's pretty bad, to be honest. It gives it a little bit of sparkle. So hopefully in the beauty shots at the end, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about by that. We have got, I mean, I have overindulged myself with the beauty shots at the end. There are quite a few. Now, just showing you this flower on the pot, I thought I'm going to decorate the pot with it. It was crying out for something. I mean, the only thing is it's slightly, the sides, I don't know if you can see that from the pot, do bow out. They're shaped so they bow outwards slightly. And that did create a little bit of an issue. But I still like the effect. So I'm just using some Star Bond glue here. Now this is an activated glue. Go careful if you're using it. Wear gloves. Try not to touch the glue at all when it's on the surface of whatever you're sticking, because your glove will stick to it and it'll pull a piece of the glove out, basically. It's so, I mean, it is so quick activating and strong. So there we go. I'm just sticking it on here, holding it, applying a bit of pressure, and it's literally supposed to be that it has contact within seconds, which it does. I then secured it with some elastic bands, as you may have seen in the bottom left corner there, so it could finish sticking and curing. I left 24 hours later, and look at that, we've got a glass-like finish on that epoxy resin has given onto our tablet or placemat. Got a bit of overspill to deal with, which I will deal with using a deburring tool. Now, can you see underneath, we've got a bit of spread again. Up to you if you want to sand that down, but I will be putting either some cork, self-adhesive cork on the back of that, on the bottom, or some white felt. I don't actually show you us doing that, but that is what happens. I also decided in the end to put a silver marker, chrome marker, around the edges of this mould. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to leave it like that. I might actually buy some velvet ribbon and perhaps try and put some velvet ribbon around the edge of it instead. So there we go. Look, we've got these beautiful shiny flowers and the mould there. Now, just taking the elastic bands off. Now, silly me, should have put some protection around the sides of the pot because it has marked the pot slightly, but never mind. So there we go, it's on. I mean, you could literally have used any of those flowers to decorate that pot. Or if you've made the pot that this mould is part of, also has a lid, you could put the flower on the lid instead. Now I'm going to use this chrome marker because for the life of me I could not find the ones that we usually use, which are by Deco Colour. So I need to add that to my list of things. Need to order some more silver chrome markers. This one was good, but it wasn't as thick as the one from Deco Colour. It still gives a lovely silver effect, but it definitely wasn't as thick. So I've put one coat on it to start with, put it to one side, and then all I've done then is put some of the silver chrome paint onto my little painter's palette there on the right, and using an ultra fine thin small brush just to decorate up parts of these flowers, pick out the details and so on. So you can see that's what I'm actually doing there. It doesn't look like I'm putting anything on, does it? But I was. I definitely was. And then you just do that until you're completely happy with what you've got. I also decorated the flower that was on the pot. So here's a close-up of this tablet. Can you see what I mean about it pops with colour? Excuse the two overhead lights, they're shining down in the reflection. Here are the flowers with it. Look at those. So it's my intention to actually place these flowers on the placemat that we've made, or the tablet that we've made, and secure them. But I haven't completely decided yet where I'm going to put them. Like, am I going to do it like this? I'm not going to secure the pot because obviously, you know, that needs to be able to be moved around. But the two little flowers, yes. But there we go. I mean, that does look like granite. It's a granite-like effect there, isn't it? Or here's another alternative as where to put the little flowers. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thank you if you've joined us in the live chat for the premiere. Hi to everybody there. Thank you for joining us. If you've joined us today because YouTube have recommended and you don't have an account, why not like, share and subscribe to our channel? And we will see you all again in a few days' time with another video. I think probably using eco resin, but this time something totally different that we have never ever done before. Take care everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.